Hello, and welcome to this broadcast from Terra Sapphire Coaching. I am Terra Sapphire, speaking about cruelty in Indian country. I run a trauma coaching business, and I am reopening my doors after a few years of having them shut to the public, where we are encouraging people, especially Native women, to get in contact with us for a special trauma coaching group for Native women. We have a couple of groups open right now, and there's also a premium one-on-one coaching experience available as well. The links for both are down in the description box. Let's talk about cruelty in Indian country. That to anyone that isn't Native, that's probably going to sound like something that doesn't make sense because there is this whole mythology of us as the noble savage. We're so kind and wise, and we have so much wisdom, spiritual and emotional. We have so much healing to give to other people. And for sure, a lot of us do. That's not completely inaccurate. A lot of us do have incredible gifts for healing and solving issues and doing spiritual guidance and emotional healing and all of that. But of course, we are at the core just normal, everyday people. We're not especially magical or charming or shiny. We're just like anyone else, except for the fact of having so much of our lands taken from us, being forced through so many horrible things, through literal genocide over generations, going through colonization, having our languages taken from us, being forbidden from doing our rituals, dancing, music, wearing our traditional clothing, having our hair cut against our will. So many terrible things have been done and continue to be done to us in the name of the colonial states that we live under. So it's not easy to be Native, it's not comfortable, and a lot of the time it doesn't feel fair to live as a Native person in a colonized country. But every Native person that I've met, Native, Indigenous, First Nations people that I've met, we all, keep going on. We all just keep on keeping on, and we don't let things get us down for too long. Now, some people will say, outsiders will say that, oh, wow, that makes you so resilient. No, Native people are not especially resilient. When you don't have a choice but to keep going, then that's what you do. You find the strength from somewhere and you keep going. And I'm sure you're familiar with that as a Native, Indigenous, First Nations person. I'm sure you're familiar with that in your own life, where something terrible or multiple terrible things have happened. And it might seem like, okay, this is the time to just lay down and die and give up. But you keep going. It's not resilience in the way that they mean it, that we're just naturally made for suffering. You're not. We're not. But it is strength. It is it is resilience in the sense that you find a deeper core strength within yourself and you are able to push through that. So why are we talking about cruelty in Indian country today? Because for a lot of us, a lot of the harms that we encounter from people are from other Native people, which is sad, but understandable given everything I just said about the state that we're living in this country, our countries that we live in. Um, you know, it's hard to live in a colonized society and have everyone just be peachy keen. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't mean that cruelty we experience from other Native people is reasonable or fair or okay. It isn't. And you deserve better if you've experienced this or are experiencing it. And we're going to talk about that today. So let's start off with what is this cruelty? when I'm talking about the cruelty that we experience, sometimes it is physical cruelty, so literally being beaten, sexually assaulted, having people trying to kill you, literally, or um, experiencing sudden homelessness. Someone throws you out of their home, which happens to way more people than it should happen to. Being cut off from funds that you need to pay for food or for your lifestyle, being limited from participating in society in the way that you need to. So some of it is those very physical, tangible things. And if you're going through that or have gone through that, I'm so sorry that you've gone through it and you didn't deserve it and you don't deserve it. And we're going to work on making things a little bit better because you deserve better. Um, Aside from those very over the top, horrible ways of cruelty, there's also mental and emotional cruelty, which I think a lot of us also experience. Emotional cruelty is kind of keeping people at arm's length, never letting them fully get close, or keeping them on their toes and making them feel like, you know, this person can't be depended on. If I need them, they're not going to show up. They're not going to be in my corner. They might betray me at any moment. Um, I don't know how they feel. Even longtime relatives, people, parents, siblings, cousins, uncles, aunts, grandparents, can all keep us in the dark about, does this person really love me? They just keep me around, they tolerate me. And there are a lot of situations where the person kind of just acts like they tolerate you. And there isn't like true affection that seems to be there, which is deeply harmful. There's also mental abuse, which is active like discouragement, gaslighting. Gaslighting is telling people that something happened in a way that it didn't. For example, if you all went to the movies and someone coughed who wasn't in your group during the movies, you come home and the person says, why are you coughing so much? You say, oh, that wasn't me. And they say, no, it was you. You were coughing so much. Why were you doing that? So that's gaslighting because it didn't happen. There's a group of people that witnessed that it didn't happen. It's objectively true that it didn't happen. You weren't the one coughing in that situation. But gaslighting is acting as if you can just say a truth or say a lie, rather. You can say a lie and present it as the truth when it very clearly is not. Um, Manipulation, trying to manipulate people into doing things when maybe sometimes just asking is enough, but they don't want to ask. Um, all sorts of backstabbing, betrayal. I think I did mention discouragement. So discouragement saying like, hey, you can't do that. You'll never achieve that. People like you aren't able to do this. Goals that you have, dreams that you have, or simple aspirations, like, oh, I'm going to go down here and apply for a job. Or you shouldn't bother doing that because they're just going to deny you anyway. So that's all mental abuse. That's mental abuse and manipulation. So those are some types of abuse. There are many, many, many more. In a nutshell, if interacting with this person makes you feel really bad, there might be some kind of abuse going on there, which we should pay attention to. Because aside from the abuse, the other thing that we're talking about today is also safety. So let's define that. What is safety? Safety is feeling like you can be calm. You don't have to prepare for worst case scenarios. You can have a sense of kind of knowing what's coming next and that the next thing is not going to be harmful to you. Um, it's a sense of, physical safety, knowing that you're not going to be suddenly attacked by anything. Emotional safety is, I definitely know where this person stands with me. They don't give me mixed messages. I know if they tell me or they act like they should be someone that loves me, I know for a fact through their actions and words and behaviors that they love me. And I don't have to be confused about that. Mental safety is you don't have to feel confused around a person or feel like you are strangely in the wrong, or you don't feel like this person is picking fights with you out of nowhere. You can have pretty calm, reasonable discussions with them. And if there is a disagreement, it can be resolved without a big blow up fight or terrible things happening. So, mental, emotional, and physical safety are all very important. When we're dealing with abusive situations, it's important to center our own sense of safety first and foremost, meaning that you have to find for yourself what you need to feel safe. If, for example, you have set up your living space in a certain way, you have a vase on a table, and you have to find for yourself that you feel safe when your belongings are not disturbed, rather, when your belongings are not disturbed. Um, an abusive person that would make you feel unsafe might come in and suddenly empty the vase of the flowers, put it in the sink, just kind of disturb your space in a way that makes you feel unpleasant. That is abuse because it's a mental and emotional abuse. It's your safety is dependent on having things around you kind of be stable, and someone disturbing that without permission or their own initiative is disturbing your safety. So a safe person for you is going to come in, admire the vase, not really touch it or disturb it, just be like, wow, that's great, and, keep going about their business. So that's really important. Um, I have a bunch of points here I'm going to go over. We're going to talk about why are these people acting like this, the abusive people in your life. We're going to talk about why understanding their pain is not going to protect you. We're going to talk about people that enable them to be harmful to you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about safety and being safe from them. So, why do these people act the way they do? You know, we talked about colonization and the harms of living in a society where so many things have been stolen from you. And it's important to consider that for sure, and all the depths of what that means, generational harms and generational things that have been done to these people that are abusing you. We're not excusing it. We're not saying that makes it okay. We're all autonomous people that can make decisions for ourselves, and we have to be able to take responsibility for our actions. So no matter how much someone has been hurt, it never justifies them lashing out and hurting someone else, hurting you. But we do understand that people that have gone through a lot of harm from their own relatives, from society, from traumatic events happening to them, like people they loved suddenly dying or disappearing when they were younger. Traumatic events, especially when we're young, before the age of 17, 18, 19, 20, um, traumatic events that happen then can really alter our brain chemistry and almost make it impossible for us to behave in a normal way if it's bad enough and if we don't do enough to recover. If you're listening to this recording, you're not necessarily in the group of someone that is unable to recover because you're seeking out some help. That's a good sign that you have that neuroplasticity. You have that ability of your brain to change and adapt and grow, which is what we need to have. But there are some times that people have experienced so much trauma that it alters them in a way that they can't change. And we have to understand that. That's really important. Um, in these sorts of situations, we can feel very frustrated because there can be no real rhyme or reason to why this loved one was acting this way. It can be very unreasonable. it can feel like this person is suddenly very immature, even if they have in the past acted very mature for other things, a job, other responsibilities. Um, in certain situations, it's almost like they become a child in a teenage or an adult body, and trying to talk to them feels like you're trying to reason with a child who can't understand you or can't really communicate with you. Um, these sorts of people might make up lies very often, um, called the blue sky gray or green or yellow, basically. Of course, not literally talking about the sky, but in your own life, in your own discussions, lying about things that you either know at the time are not true or you find out later were very much not true and were clearly things that you could have found out were not true. And that's it's a very immature behavior to lie about things very often. They might get incredibly defensive. So defensiveness is going to be the whole like, oh, I didn't do it. It's not my fault. It was his fault. It was her fault, or it was your fault. Um, and sometimes, it isn't their fault. They're just defensive. Maybe when they were a child, they had a parent that would blame them very often for things. And so their safety mechanism is to instantly try to pass off the blame to someone else. But sometimes they might have done what they're trying to say they didn't do, or trying to convince you that they're not at fault for. And that's another very immature behavior. So when we're understanding these people, we do need to know that understanding them is not going to protect us. Understanding them is not going to protect us. Um, we can understand a feral dog or a feral cat, not to call your loved ones animals, because they're not animals, but we're just talking about the behaviors, okay? We're just talking about the behaviors. With, most dogs and cats, they were domesticated originally. They originally lived with humans, right? That's how they got that way. But the feral ones haven't really lived with humans. They're not really used to that way of communicating back and forth in relationship with a human in a way that is productive for everybody involved. So we understand when we're approaching a feral dog or cat that even if, we might have food, we might have pets for them, we want to scratch them, make them feel good, and be affectionate. But that cat or dog is probably going to bite you or scratch you. They might eat the food afterwards, but they're going to lash out. And we have the same sort of effect with our relatives that are unfairly lashing out at us. No matter how much you understand their behavior, it's not going to change how they behave. No matter how much you understand their behavior, it's not going to change how they behave. They've had a bunch of things happen to them. They've had a lot of experiences and their own traumas. And we might badly want to have that relationship that we might see other people having with their people in their lives. But with this particular person, unfortunately, it's at least in the situation you're in right now, it's not going to be possible for you guys to have that relationship. Sometimes it can develop once you've established safety for yourself and they're able to kind of examine their own actions without you to push their cruelty onto. But that can take years, and you shouldn't necessarily wait for it to happen. Um, so it's important to understand that anyone that's making you feel unsafe, unfairly lashing out at you, talking behind your back, actively trying to backstab you or betray you or sabotage what you're working on, um, even if you can feel their pain, even if you can feel like, hey, I can help you, I can help you understand, please, please, please understand that you can't. You've tried probably already, right? You've probably tried for years. You can't do anything about this person. they're set in their ways. They might have some of that affection, that love that you kind of sense might be there that you want to pull out of them and make them express more fully. But they're not able to do that right now. So please don't try to draw it out of them. It's not going to come. Let's talk about people that enable the cruel people around us, which is another painful bag of nails to open up, right? Because it's hard enough when that person that we really care for um, isn't giving us the love and affection and care that we want from them so much. That's very difficult. It's very painful. It's very, it's traumatizing in itself. You know, you deserve better. They deserve better from themselves. You know, they deserve to act in a way that they don't push away the people that they know they need, that they know they probably love, but they are stuck in these behaviors where they just push people away instead, torture them, make them feel bad. So, you know, they deserve better from themselves, but it's a terrible situation for everybody involved. And then we will have people surrounding the situation. Could be other aunts, uncles, grandparents, community members, right? A lot of the time, people that are outside of the family structure itself, or maybe if you're having this abusive relationship with a friend or a boyfriend or girlfriend, etc., is someone outside of that relationship. So people that are not actively inside the abusive communications are outside it, but kind of encourage or don't discourage the harm from happening. They might say that whatever you're suffering from just isn't bad, right? It's not bad. If you're feeling hurt, you're too sensitive. Um, or maybe that person attacking you, they might say, well, they're not really that sort of person, or you don't understand what's happening, or maybe you did something to deserve it, and so on. Of course, those are all lies. It's not true. But this is not a safe person either. So, someone that is not keeping your safety as a priority, someone that is not thinking of you highly enough to not participate in gossip, to not laugh at something terrible that your attacker did to you. Um, these people are violating your internal safety. These people are making it so that your greater environment is more hostile than it even needs to be in the first place. You know, you're dealing with this one or multiple abusive relationships, and you have other people kind of throwing more coal on the fire, making things worse, creating a very oppressive overall environment that makes it more difficult for you to see yourself clearly, you know, to see the truth of what you're experiencing, which is you are being harmed, you are being abused, you're not being treated well. You deserve to be treated well. And uh, these environments with people encouraging this um, is making that something that's almost impossible for you to reach as long as they're allowed to have that impact on you. So let's talk about becoming safe. It's really crucial to reach a point where your safety is going to be first for you, and everything else has to follow after that. So anyone that you interact with has to be able to pass a filter first to be able to interact with you. Are they safe for you? No matter how interesting they are, no matter who they're connected to in your community or tribal government or any other organization, or, you know, is this person safe for you? That's your first priority. Are they safe? Do they think positively of you? Are they physically safe to be around? Do they respect your boundaries around what you will and won't do and your bodily autonomy? Meaning, they're not going to put hands on you, try to pull you, push you, or assault you? Do they speak well of you to others? And do they encourage your goals, your dreams, and aspirations? Right? We want to be around people that basically, in a nutshell, are making us feel good. Not people that are dragging us down, not people that are laughing at us, dragging our names to the mud, getting happy when we're doing bad. These are not safe connections. We want to be around people that are clapping when we win, are there for us when we need them. If we fall, they're holding up their hands to help us get up. Community is supposed to mean something. It isn't a one-sided arrangement. It isn't you getting dumped on by your entire community. And again, if that's something that you're going through or have gone through, I'm sorry. And we're going to move through it. We're going to move past it because you don't deserve that. Community is about everybody contributing to each other and everybody having that basic respect, basic affection, positivity for each other. Um, and that can be hard in Indian country. It can be hard for some communities to find, partially because of everything we've gone through. But a lot of that does start with us. When we heal ourselves and we maintain our boundaries and we maintain our safety, for one thing, we set an example to everybody else that they can do the same with the abusive connections in their lives. And they can also be safe themselves, which has a huge effect on people. Being able to show that you don't have to stick around and just take abuse from people. Um, and for another thing, when we do that, I mentioned this earlier, sometimes the abusive people in our lives, when they get that space to really pay attention to what they've been doing and how they've been acting, they sometimes, not always, and if they don't go putting yourself back in their life. You need to keep yourself safe. But sometimes they will try to figure out how they can be better and how they can stop pushing people away because with space and time, they can realize that they actually do want people around them. They don't want to be horrible. They don't want to be harmful. And they want to be someone that people can turn to. So I hope that this talk has been helpful to you. We will keep having these talks pretty regularly. If you are not safe right now, I encourage you to look for help in your community if you can. So if you are without housing, without food, see what sorts of organizations might be able to help you, and feel free to reach out in the comments or reach out to me in my email, and I can definitely help you through that process if I'm able to, because I uh, would like to help you get to that safety with the resources around you. I am, again, offering coaching groups for Native women. I would love to also offer them for Native men. Next year, I will be training Native men in my methodologies for coaching trauma, and we will open up some group coaching for men. So look forward to that. For this year, next 3 months at least, we're focusing on these groups for Native women. Of course, my premium coaching group is open to men and women. Of any background. Actually, those are open, and they're one-on-one and they're private to you and me. So you can click those links in the description box below. I'm so glad to connect with you on here. It's my pleasure to talk with you, and I'll see you again next time. Be well.